Imagine for a moment that your urine osmolality is fixed. Means your urine is neither becoming concentrated nor dilute. So what the problem you will encounter? Answer is simple. If you take more amount of water, your blood will become dilute, and if you take less amount of water, your blood will become concentrated. So for your body's homeostasis, there should be concentration and dilution mechanism for your urine osmolality, and that can be achieved by counter current mechanism, which we will discuss in this topic. Okay, so learning objective of this topic will be discuss the cortical and juxtamedullary nephron, what are the requirement of urine concentration, medullary hyperosmotic gradient, then the counter current multiplier mechanism, what is the role of urea in urine concentration, and role of antidiuretic hormone in urine concentration. Then we'll discuss the counter current exchanger mechanism, and at last applied aspect of this topic. So we have two kind of nephrons, cortical and juxtamedullary nephron. Kidney is divided into two part. Outer part is cortex and inner part is the medulla. So the nephrons which are there up to the cortex is cortical nephron, and nephrons which go deep into the medulla is juxtamedullary nephron. They are less in number, near about 20%, but important job of these is that they create osmotic gradient in the medulla, and because of that urine can become concentrated. And they have also one important peculiarity, that vasa recta capillary loop is such that it forms hairpin like appearance and surrounds the loop of Henle, and because of that they are able to maintain the gradient. But if we see the capillary loop of cortical nephron, it is surrounding but not forming the vasa recta. So what are the requirements for generation of urine concentration? So for urine concentration you should generate, or your body's medullas generate hyperosmotic gradient, and there is a very important role of antidiuretic hormone in that process. So medullary hyperosmotic gradient, normally the in everywhere in the body the interstitial fluid osmolality is matching to the plasma, and it is near about 300 milliosmol per liter. But if we see in the medulla of kidney, the osmolality is progressively increasing up to the 1200 milliosmol per liter, and because of that medullary nephron are able to concentrate the urine. So how this tremendous amount of osmolality is created here, that we'll discuss. So this is the counter current mechanism, which has two part, counter current multiplier and counter current exchanger. In counter current multiplier we'll see there are loop of Henle in the juxtamedullary nephron, which will establish the hyperosmolarity of interstitium of medulla, and vasa recta are the responsible for the maintenance of the osmolarity which is created. So this mechanism is called counter current exchanger mechanism. So in this table we are seeing the different part of the nephron, and we are seeing that how the sodium chloride and water is absorbed. So sodium chloride can be absorbed actively and water, and also passively and water. So in proximal convoluted tubule, both sodium chloride is actively also absorbed, passively also absorbed, and water is also absorbed. In thin descending limb of loop of Henle, it is only permeable to water. This point we have to remember, that thin descending limb is not permeable to actively to sodium chloride. Passively some amount of sodium chloride can go, but not actively. But if we see the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle, it is actively permeable to sodium chloride, and it is not permeable to water, means it is impermeable to water. And distal tubule, cortical collecting tubule, inner medullary duct, they are permeable to water in presence of antidiuretic hormone only. So this point we have to remember. So Now coming to the schematic diagram, this is the schematic diagram of loop of Henle. In this diagram we are seeing that there is thin descending loop of Henle, thick ascending loop of Henle. In thick ascending loop of Henle there is one transporter, NKCC, sodium potassium 2 chloride transporter, which will cause absorption of sodium, potassium and 2 chloride, and because of the sodium is coming into the medullary interstitium, it will increase the osmolarity of the medulla. And this is also in detailed manner the same thing is represented. So sodium potassium pump creates the gradient of sodium inside the cell. It pumps out 3 sodium outside, 2 potassium inside. Because of that, sodium concentration is decreased inside the cell, and now sodium along with potassium and 2 chloride is coming into the, so this is a secondary active transport mechanism by which sodium, potassium, 2 chloride is coming. Potassium can go outside into the tubule again, or interstitium, chloride by Barton channel into the interstitium. So ultimately sodium and chloride is coming inside the medullary interstitium, and that will generate the osmotic gradient. Thin descending loop of Henle is permeable to water. So the fluid which is coming here, because water is going out, will be concentrated. Okay, here in the proximal convoluted tubule isotonic fluid will be coming. After filtration the fluid will be isotonic, and if same amount of water and same amount or same percentage of water and same percentage of sodium chloride is absorbed, then also it will become it will be isotonic only, and that isotonic which is there in the proximal convoluted tubule, when comes into the thin descending limb of loop of Henle, if water is reabsorbed from that fluid, it will become concentrated. Okay, and when it goes into the thick ascending limb of loop of Henle, the sodium chloride is reabsorbed but water is not reabsorbed. Because of that, it will become dilute. So hypotonic fluid will come into the distal convoluted tubule. So in this sets of schematic diagram, we will see the counter current multiplier mechanism. So suppose in the first situation, if we consider that neither the descending limb of loop of Henle is not permeable, or that NKCC pump is not also functional at the thick ascending loop of Henle. So in this scenario, normally you'll see that same osmolarity of fluid is going into the distal convoluted tubule. 300 is coming to PCT and 300 milliosmol per liter of fluid is going into the distal convoluted tubule. But this is not the scenario. If we apply the first mechanism, that thick ascending limb of loop of Henle is actively pumping sodium, potassium, 2 chloride, and it is able to generate the gradient of 200 milliosmol between interstitium and tubular lumen. So we are seeing that now the interstitium osmolarity increases up to the 400. Okay, and if we apply the second mechanism, that thin descending limb of loop of Henle is also permeable to water, then what will happen? Water will go into the interstitium, and because of that, loop of Henle fluid in the loop of Henle will become progressively concentrated when it is going down deep into the medulla. So in the repetitive cycle, you are seeing that progressively the osmolarity of tubular fluid is increasing near to the tip. Okay, so and 300 milliosmol is regularly coming from the PCT, and this is again becoming concentrated. So in repeated cycle you'll see that at the tip of loop of Henle, osmolarity can increase up to the 1200 milliosmol per liter. So this is the counter current multiplier mechanism. So simple repetitive reabsorption of sodium chloride by thick ascending limb of loop of Henle and the continuous inflow of new sodium chloride from proximal tubule into the loop of Henle, and this mechanism is multiplied again and again, and because of that the medullary hyperosmotic gradient is created. Now coming to role of urea. Role of urea is seen by some studies that the person who take more proteins has more ability to concentrate urine. So this will be we can see this by this role of urea. So if we see, this is the osmoles of urea, 4.5 milliosmol, which are filtered in the proximal convoluted tubule. It is again 4.5. Now they are progressively, if water is reabsorbed, progressively become concentrated, and in the medullary collecting duct osmolarity of urea is increased. Okay, and this dark portion in the tubule is impermeable to urea, but the thin lines of tubule or nephron is permeable. So from medullary portion, inner medullary portion, the urea which is concentrated is again reabsorbed into the medulla, and because of that, if urea increase osmolar urea is reabsorbed, it will increase the osmolarity of the medulla. Okay, and it is again reabsorbed from the loop of Henle and again going into the, so it is recycled. So it is reabsorbed, recycled, and because of that it is helping in the concentration of urine. And urea we know is formed by the protein degradation or protein metabolism, and it is a waste. Everyone knows that it is waste, but before excreting, it is being utilized by body to generate the medullary hyperosmotic gradient. That point should be noted by us. Now coming to role of antidiuretic hormone, it increases water permeability of distal collecting duct, collecting tubule, collecting duct, and it does by water channels which are aquaporins. So it insert water channels in principal cell of distal tubule collecting duct. This is also important point. It stimulates urea recycling by increasing urea permeability of collecting duct. So this, in this diagram, the urea which is reabsorbed from inner medulla by urea transporter UT, these transporter are stimulated by ADH. Water is also stimulated. Water aquaporine channels are also important for ADH, and this urea transporter is also stimulated by ADH. So stimulate urea recycling. So by studying this concentration or countercurrent multiplier mechanism, now you will see the example that suppose ADH is not there. So what the osmolarity of urine? It is urine osmolarity is 50. Why? Because urea is not being absorbed, water is not being absorbed, and because of that it is coming into water. Increased amount of water is coming into the urine. Because of that, urine is dilute. Okay, in this diagram, that at the tip of medulla or loop of Henle, osmolarity is shown up to the 600 milliosmol per liter, even though sodium potassium 2 chloride pump is working. So it shows or strengthens our knowledge that urea is also important. With the help of urea, osmolarity can increase up to the 1200 milliosmol per liter, but not without the help of urea. And if we see the concentration of urine, if ADH is working, it will help in reabsorption of urea and water. And if water is reabsorbed from the tubular fluid, it will become concentrated. So urine osmolarity can increase from maximally up to 50, maximally up to 1200 milliosmol per liter, or dilution can occur up to the 50 milliosmol per liter. Okay. Counter current exchanger mechanism is for this vasa recta is important. The blood flow is sluggish. Because of that, solute which enters into the vasa recta at one point goes out, okay, according to the concentration gradient in the medulla, and it is not dissipated. Means osmolarity created by loop of Henle is not dissipated by vasa recta. So characteristic of vasa recta is that they are opposite running, U-shaped, sluggish flow, long, while cortical nephron have peritubular capillaries. So osmotic gradient cannot be maintained by cortical nephron peritubular capillaries. So this is the importance of vasa recta. Now coming to the applied aspects of this topic. So if there is abnormality in urine concentrating or diluting mechanism, then our body's osmolarity will be hampered. Okay, so first example is syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion, SIADH. In this, ADH secretion is increased, and what it will do, it will concentrate the urine. Even though your plasma osmolarity is normal or decreased, your urine will be very concentrated every time, and because of that, because water, your blood will become dilute, so osmolarity of blood will decrease and urine will be concentrated. Normally what should happen? If blood is dilute, urine should be dilute. If blood is concentrated, urine should be concentrated. But in SIADH, what is happening? Your blood is dilute and your urine is concentrated. So this is not good, and this will hamper the homeostasis. Counter current mechanism impairment can occur. Suppose your NKCC transporter is blocked by diuretics. So obviously NKCC are the sole responsible for generation of osmotic gradient, and that will be dissipated. Central diabetes insipidus and nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. In central diabetes insipidus, ADH amount is less, and in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, ADH amount is normal, but it is not working at the level of kidney or collecting duct. So problem here is that your urine will become ADH. Suppose ADH is not working, so your urine will become dilute and your blood will become concentrated. Water is going into the urine, so in the body water will become less, and because of that blood will become. So again the same analogy, if blood is concentrated, urine should be concentrated. If blood is dilute, urine should be dilute. But in diabetes insipidus, what is happening? Your urine is very dilute, but blood is concentrated. Okay, so this is also not good for your body. Okay, so this was all about this counter current mechanism. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in next lecture.